Hey, we're going to do something a little different on this video. Not the normal casting video. So if you want to go ahead and jam that dislike button right now and go away, because it's not going to be a casting video. A few weeks, oh gosh, actually a few months ago, I got a product. Actually, I watched my buddy Adam over at Art by Adrock review the same product, and it's intriguing. So I went and got one. And I'm going to do a review of it here. I haven't watched Adam's video for quite a while, so I've kind of forgotten what it was about and what he said, good or bad. So what you're going to hear from me will be pretty much my uncensored view of the thing. This guy right here, it is a wire stripper from a company called Vevor. I will put a link to the product. You can get it on Amazon. I'll put a link to the product down below, down below. So if you are interested, you can check it out. Bottom line, pretty happy with it. You're going to see me do some stuff in the beginning of the video, and I'll do it with a voiceover. Man, I struggled. I really struggled to get this thing to work. I figured it out finally. I finally got smarter than the crank in here. And we got it done, and I was able to strip quite a bit of, quite an array of wires and sizes and configurations, all that kind of stuff with it. So pretty happy with it, but I did struggle, and you can watch all that happen at the beginning. Also found out I could do something cool with it. Maybe cool, I don't know. I mean, and I'm not sure that that's how they designed it, the intention of the design, but it worked, and it was a kind of a cool little feature. So I'll show you that along the way. So let's go ahead. I'm going to switch over to the video I shot actually almost 2 months ago. We'll do the voiceover, and I'll come back and tell you again that I like the product. All right, let's open the box and see what we have here. We can see that it appears to be packaged pretty well. There's nothing just flopping around. And ooh, look, it comes with these cool Michael Jackson gloves. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. They're made out of what I think I'll call just t-shirt material. I don't know. There's a small bag of hardware included that makes me think the unit must already be pretty complete, because there's really not a lot you could do with it. And as I hoped, it looks like the tool is pretty much assembled, ready to go. There's an instruction manual that isn't the greatest that I've ever seen. I think it's interesting that it comes in German and English and no other languages. Maybe that's their markets, I don't know. It clearly is not written by native English speakers when you see things like you being spelled with the letter U and your being UR. Not the greatest instruction manual, but then again, it's not the most complicated machine out there either. The tool comes with 3 wire guides for keeping various size wires positioned in the drive groove and blade. These guides are attached with a couple of Allen bolts. And there's a handle that easily attaches using a set screw on the side. There's also a stud that screws into the same shaft that the handle mounts on. The stud will fit inside a drill motor should you want to power the stripper. Now, of course, unlike me, you'd probably want to take that handle off before sticking a drill motor on here. There are also a couple of Allen wrenches that fit the bolts that hold the wire guides on, and the 4 bolts that come with the unit. I guess they're here to allow you to bolt the unit to a bench top. I have no idea what this bolt was used for. I couldn't find it anywhere in the manual. I couldn't find any place on the machine that you would use it. Before I get into all my failures, I want to show you a cool trick that I learned while playing with this thing. I assumed that I wanted to feed the wire through from the camera side. I'm left-handed, so that made the handle position problematic on my bench. I found that by taking the wire guide and the outfeed guide off, I could switch them and essentially put the handle on the other side of the unit. The holes that are used to mount these attachments are the same on each side of the tool. I thought that was actually a pretty good accidental feature. Now, the first one's pretty minor, and a lot of you probably would say, don't worry about it, it's not that big a deal. And it's probably not a big deal. But the handle on the handle, I guess you'd call it the handle on the handle, feels loose and sloppy. And I tried using 2 of the Allen wrenches to tighten it up, but neither of them actually fit the Allen bolt that's in the end of the thing. And I thought briefly about, going at one of my Allen wrenches and try to tighten it up, and it ain't worth it. It's not that big a deal. It's just kind of funny because it stood out to me, since the rest of the tool seems to be really well built and tight. Just this sloppy handle felt out of place for me. The next we can chalk up totally to operator error. I could not get the wire to stay in the bottom groove. No matter what size wire I used, it just wanted to roll off to the side of the groove. And then of course it's no longer under the blade, and when it's no longer the blade, it's no longer cutting it. You can see it here just had to roll off to the side no matter what size wire I used. Eventually I tried this thick aluminum multi-strand wire. It has a hard plastic insulator on it that required me to raise the blade. And it was at that moment, that very moment, that I had the epiphany. I had the blade too low and the wire could not start between the blade and the groove. Every time it would come in, it just pushed it off to the side. But once I had the blade set to the correct height, it's amazing how much better this thing worked. I was able to strip the insulation off the large gauge aluminum wire, no problem, came off clean. I was able to strip the outer insulation off Romex wire. If you're not familiar with this type of house wiring, it has 2 or 3 insulated wires inside an external insulator. And I've stripped a lot of wire like this using a utility knife or a razor blade, and every time I've done that, I'm afraid I'm either going to cut into the inner insulation and cause a potential short in the wire, or I'm going to cut my hand off. This tool allows me to strip that outer insulation without damaging the inner wires or risking life and limb. As I said, inside Romex is 2 or 3 insulated wires. The wire that I have is 12 gauge and 14 gauge wire. I see a lot of guys out there that melt copper using this type of wire. It's nice because, it has a little mass to it and it can be melted fairly easily. And you can see that both the 14 gauge and the 12 gauge strip really well. Then I thought, well, I'm going to push this machine just a little bit. And this is telephone wire. It's loosely encased in a really soft insulator. The insulator cuts a little, but basically it just crushes under the blade. Now, truth be told, this type of wire actually comes with a string encased in the insulator that if you pull that string, it will actually cut the insulation off the wire inside. So you really don't need a machine like this to strip this kind of wire. Then I thought I'd try some multi-strand 20, maybe it's 22 gauge, I don't really know. But there's a limit to the size of the wire that this tool will strip. One of the lines of text in the manual says, too small wire diameter. Now, I assume that was part of a troubleshooting section, but as you can see from the manual here, it really doesn't say that. It's just these 3 standalone lines. So maybe I can get a job proofreading text from companies that are clearly not English as a first language company. There you go. Let's go back to me in the garage and we'll finish up this video. All right, well, there you go. This is it. This is the Vevor SD-25 wire stripping tool. It's got, as I said, it's got a tool here that you can put it on a drill motor and you can just run it, or you can hand crank it, however you want to work it. But it works really pretty well. The only goofy thing was this handle here, and it's still, yeah, it is what it is. It's not a big deal. It works pretty good. So if you made it to the end, thank you for hanging out there. Go check out the product. The link is down below. You guys be a blessing to one another and have a great day.